All righty. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming. My name is Kara Patinato, and I'm the program coordinator for the Bachelor's Organizational Management program here. Together with Paul Bonnet, myself, and the Business and Tech program, we are hosting this event. So we appreciate all the students coming out, our panelists coming out. Students, if you have not signed in, please sign in. Back there with Miss Allie, and then also help yourself to some refreshments sponsored by SGA. We are going to do a formal panel discussion, then open it up to student questions, and lastly, if you would like to stay for some one-on-one networking, we'll host that at the very end. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Paul Bonnet, who is the chair of the Hospitality Management and Tourism program here at Gulf Coast.
Thank you so much, Kara. I would like to also give a shout out to Kara, who has been absolutely instrumental in helping to make this happen. She has been wonderful. And then again, I'd also like to add an extra thank you to our wonderful panelists who every time that I call and ask for a favor, they are always so more than willing to accommodate and to help with our students. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's begin. So question number one is going to be for Jason Branks and Melinda Lane. How do you ensure that your team stays aligned with your organization's mission, vision, and their core values?
I'm going to let Melinda go first.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? Thank you. Good evening. I'm Melinda.
Yourself? I think they forgot that.
I'm Melinda. I'm the general manager of the Spring Hill Suites in Panama City Beach. I got my hospitality career start here in Panama City Beach at the Hampton Inn on Thomas Drive. I've been the GM at the Spring Hill for 4 years now. Prior to that, I was the general manager of the Hilton Garden Inn in Panama City. The way that our team stays aligned with the organization's mission, vision, and core values, incredibly important, obviously, but we give the power to our team. We keep it in the forefront. It's on posters, it's in the AGM's office, it's in the break room. But in Huddle every day, we highlight one of our values, we talk about our mission, we talk about our vision, and we had the team redefine what that means to them. So they own walking, talking, and living that every single day, including me. They hold us accountable just like we hold them accountable, and it's super important that we follow that mission and those core values.
My name is Jason Branks. I work with Hilton. I'm president of Hilton Sun. We have a couple hotels out on the beach. We've got the Days Inn Panama City Beach, 188 rooms, and the Casa Loma non-franchised 100-room property they're both on Front Beach Road. How do we ensure that the employees stay aligned with our vision? I'm going to say my biggest goal is to keep the employees informed and listening to what they say. If you get them involved in the decision-making of what needs to be done, that's pretty much, they become much more vested in what's happening in the organization. If you keep them involved in the strategic goals, you keep them involved into what you're trying to do, you keep them, you listen to them. And that's kind of my biggest thing, is listening to the staff and talking to the staff. And if there's issues going on in their life, you know, I'm not better than anybody else. I'm just, they have issues going, I have issues going. I'm going to just listen to what they have to say. I'm definitely, I will sit and talk, and it seems maybe that's a bad thing. I know you, Paul and I used to work together. We give our cell phones to all the employees and they use it. So they just listening to what the employees say really does help, I believe. And when they want to make a decision or they have a idea for the hotel, then I put it back on them, say, what would you do? And they look at me like, what? You want me to make the decision? Yes. Well, you're the one who's going to be dealing with this. You're the one who deals with the guests. So yes, you make the decision. So they seem to like that.
Melinda, I'm going to go ahead and follow up a little bit because Jason talked about the strategic goals and he kind of addressed this a little bit as a follow-up. But how transparent are you with the strategic goals with your team?
The only way we're going to reach the goal is if everyone knows the goal. So we talk about it all the time, goals that are in bite-sized pieces and overwhelming, overarching big goals. We talk about how much revenue do we need to make so that we can buy that new thing we want. We make the goals tangible to something that you want right now. So if I can give you an incentive for feeling awesome about making a guest feel awesome, you just got 3 times awesome. So let's talk about it every day. What can I give you for what you get? This is the same thing as having a compensation package and expecting to make that compensation package. Our owners know the goals. They tell us, we tell the team. That's the entire structure. From a leadership standpoint, it doesn't work if people are rowing in the wrong direction.
Well said. Before we move on, I would like to make a correction on something I did. I'd like to take this time to let the panelists introduce themselves instead of just going on to the questions. My apologies. Jason, you've kind of already introduced yourself, but why don't we move on to Glenn?
Yes, thanks, Paul. I'm Glenn McDonald. I'm the president at Gulf Coast State College, and I went here, I actually graduated from Gulf Coast in 1986, and before that, I worked in a research and development company.
I kind of already introduced myself. I'm Melinda Lane. Good to see you again. You gotcha.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Katya Chatfield. I'm the general manager of the beautiful Embassy Suites by Hilton Panama City Beach Resort. And actually, Melinda and I, we go way back just to show you how small this hospitality world is, because she helped me when I opened the Hilton Garden Inn by the airport, and then she took over the Spring Hill that I had opened before that, so it's just a small world. But I'm really excited to be here. I think it's important that we really share this hospitality message. That's my passion, to let you guys know you are on a very good path. Don't let anybody else tell you different. Hospitality is the way to go.
Great. Bill?
Thank you. I'm Bill Kramer. I'm your local friendly Chevrolet Cadillac GMC dealer. We have college discounts. But no, I'm very pleased to be here. I have served on the Board of Trustees on and off since 1987 here at Gulf Coast, a total of about 22 years. I had the privilege of serving as chairman of the board for 18 of those years. I've also served on the foundation here at Gulf Coast since 1987. And it's been a joy, a labor of love, and I will say some more about that later.
Great. And for my students, yes, there will be a question on the quiz about discounts for hospitality students. Mike?
Hi, I'm Mike Shorey. I'm the Vice President of Operations for Top Shelf Resort Management. We manage multi-different resorts, but mainly here in Panama City Beach, we have the Margaritaville Resort in the Beach Cottage Resort on Front Beach Road. We also manage, we're building probably one of the largest Margaritaville resort in the brand currently in Orange Beach, Alabama, which is, we need every student in this room to be working for us. But I have been in the hospitality business for over 25 years. You can tell from my hair. And at the same time, that I really enjoy being part of you guys, part of this school. Paul and I, we are more like a partnership. My connection here is not only because the presentation that I'm sitting in, but at the same time, I'd like to be closer and at the same time, be able to assist as much as we can during the time you are in school, whether you come do an internship or work part-time or seek any kind of questions from us. So that's what we're here for.
Great. Alan, how about you?
Alan Branch. I do a few things. When I become an adult, I'll know what I want to be. But I do a few things. So I own software companies is really what I do for a living. I have 4 different companies, about 100 employees. I own breweries and restaurants and things downtown. I own History Class, if you're familiar with that, or El Weirdo. And we also opened a new bar called Heroes downtown, about 68 employees in those businesses. My family's been in the hospitality business, the restaurant business since the 1940s, and car wash industry. And I'm also the mayor of Panama City. That's a hobby. And I have no free time.
Thank you guys so much. Let's go ahead and move on to question number 2. This question is going to be for Glenn and for Mike. Many people say that there is a clear distinction between managing and leading. From your experience, what best differentiates a manager from a leader?
Mike, do you want to go first?
Sure. So this is like more like the difference between influences and making decisions about just to get by. So there's a big difference between managers and a leader. Managers actually, they manage processes, they manage schedules, they manage budget, they manage what the task's supposed to be, and they survive. And this is really important in the operations. You've got to be a good managers. But leadership goes beyond that, beyond just managing. It takes that and then involves people in it. It makes the leadership in terms of investing in the human factor that goes beyond accomplishing that task. It's like when a manager says that, I got the job done and everybody's accepting the job, but a leader, what it does, I get the job done and I get people who really grew up with it, grew technically, grew more knowledgeable with it. They probably have a better status in their life. There's an investment that goes with the human factor. Always, whenever you're talking about those two, you've got to focus about the task versus the human factor. They both have to be done. Managers they'll succeed, but they succeed for the short term. They actually get the job done and they move on. Leaders, they get the job done, but it's for the long term. So the human factor is a huge factor. Hospitality comes in right in the middle. Now I can see here for the car dealership, and at the same time see the bars and restaurant and the school and college, but they all have one thing in common, which is the human factor. Like, we are in a time right now when we're talking about AI. It's a big deal. And don't get me wrong, it's a great thing that's happening with AI. But not too many people believe in that. But the human factor, no one can substitute that. So it's always leadership about the human factor versus the task being done, just done.
Great. Glenn?
Yeah, I agree with everything Mike said. I think really managers focus on what I would term short-term goals, and leaders focus on long-term goals. And it flows in part by how they communicate. Managers call employees and talk about their schedules and what they want to accomplish this week and how many people they want to turn on tables. Leaders talk about where do we want to be 5 years, what piece of equipment do we need. And I would think leaders focus on long-term goals, 5 to 10 years out, and the way that they communicate with employees is more inspirational, more relationship-driven, a lot of the things that Mike's talking about, and visionary. Trying to get everybody on board to change a culture or change your focus or move the enterprise to a higher level. That's not a daily activity. That's a long-term, constant activity.
Excellent. Well said for both of you guys. That's great. So question number 3, this is for Alan. Alan, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Give it to me.
Talking about leadership, the future leaders of Bay County are sitting right here in this room. As our community continues to experience rapid growth and change, how do you approach leading through that change? And what strategies do you use to get both your customers and your team on board with that?
Yeah. You're probably referring to kind of mayoral type role, but
Yeah, let's go with that.
anything, whether you are the mayor or you are running a hotel or a restaurant or teaching a classroom, everything's in a state of change. I would bet you that Mr. Kramer can give you ample stories about how the car dealer industry has changed over the past 40 years. They didn't have the internet when he started. Many things like that. And so I don't think, there's even an industrial revolution. We talked about AI for a brief second, but as a leader, you are always bringing in new information and adjusting the chart of where you're going. If you were driving a big ship coming out of Port Panama City, you wouldn't just come out of the pass and make a right turn and just go all the way to your destination. You'd be checking the charts, looking out, adjusting where you're going, looking for weather. And those are all new data points that are coming into an organization. So you're always looking what's coming in, distilling new information, ignoring some of it, implementing some of it. Some of it might be too expensive to implement. You're identifying problems. The frequency is the hard part. A micromanager is someone who's coming to you constantly going, forget what I told you yesterday, we're doing something completely different. And that frequency is too often. An absent leader is someone who doesn't have the touch points with their organization as often as they should. So, bringing in new information, implementing it, the frequency of that is the harder part of leadership, not being someone who brings constant change and radical change. In an organization that changes too much, you can have burnout. Burnout is the product of when hard work doesn't meet progress. People don't burn out when effort meets the progress. You're like, wow, I worked so hard, I got so much done. That's not burnout. Burnout is, I work so hard and I can't get anything done because we're always changing the goalpost and changing where we're going, changing where we're driving to. So it's no different. It's no different as mayor. There are mayor associations. Every industry has an association. Every industry has a thought leader. I love identifying thought leaders in industries. My dad's actually a thought leader in the car wash industry, believe it or not. There are famous car washers. My dad's one of those people. But yeah, you're always bringing that information in and adjusting things. One of the harder parts in any organization, as the larger they get, the inertia of things becomes so hard to move. Government's even harder to move. Meaning that the larger the organization, to bring a new idea in and go, like let's say the city of Panama City has yellow slides across all of our parks. And I were to say, yellow slides are terrible. We're doing blue slides now. It would take procurement a while to have the money to replace the slides and put them up for bid. And so the bigger the organization, especially in government, the harder it is to bring the idea in and get it to move. And much like the ship analogy, you're never making a 180-degree turn. You're doing little nudges in these organizations. Government, you have to seed the idea early, especially in organizations where people are busy. You're going like, here's what we're doing now. And they're like, oh my God, I'm already working so hard. What's the new idea? So you're having to feed the ideas. Often the job of the manager is to ask, here's the idea. What do I need to take off your plate for you to have time to implement this new thing? Because you can't just keep piling work on people. So, part of my job is to make sure the people who report to me have initiatives that they're working on. And I always tell them that my job is to overload you and your job is to ask what to take off your plate. And so, yeah, it's discerning information, it's feedback loops, it's adjusting, and it's realizing how long an idea takes to implement in general, too. So.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. So our next question is for Melinda and Katja. As a leader, it is vital to support and develop your team. I know you guys know this very well. As our community continues to experience, what actions, resources, or strategies have you found to be most effective to ensure your team's success? And is there something maybe your company does that helps reinforce this?
So our company has what they call a GMAC. It's a General Manager Advisory Committee. And they have an associate advisory committee. Our hotel was highlighted as the best associate advisory committee in our company, and it does correspond that we were also the most improved hotel in our company. We were number 5 in the portfolio, and yay for us, right? Cool. A lot of those ideas and strategies and rollouts came from our team's ideas. So organizing that committee and having that conduit so they can communicate with me was very vital in making this change. What Alan is talking about is true. The bigger the hotel, we go from 20 team members in a Hampton Inn to 100 team members at this size of a Spring Hill Suites, and even more when you go to the Embassy Suites that Katja has. So making sure that if everyone feels the same way about something that's going on at your hotel, you're not hearing that all the time, every day, but they are hearing what you're doing about it is critical. So our Associate Advisory Council helps me tremendously to get those priority items that are top of mind for the staff, they plan parties and they do the fun things as well. And that's the incentive to remain a part of that council. But at the end of the day, they're giving me critical information and I'm giving them critical information and they're taking it back to the team.
Great. Gotcha.
Yeah, and basing back on what Melinda said, in our world it's called the MAD committee, not because we're all mad, but we're making a difference. And I can only agree with that's the voices that we need to hear. And I love when the team members come up and say, I have an idea and this is how we're going to do it. I mean, how could we say no? But I think it's really important to focus on our teams. In the long run, eventually, Melinda and I want to lay by the beach, right, and have margaritas, and we cannot do that if we don't teach that next level supervisor how to do our jobs. I think that leadership starts with knowing who you are. So there's a lot of leaders sitting at this board, and I know several of them personally, and I know we all lead a little bit different, and that's okay. You can be the leader that you want to be. Knowing who you are, first of all, so that you can develop into that good leader, I think is essential. Think about the best boss that you ever had, and your first boss. The very first person, you might have been a teenager, right, having your first job, or maybe a little older. That person sets the standards for the leadership that you're going to provide to that next team that you're going to lead. And that can be a very good example, or some of you might have had a leader, you could say, well, that wasn't exactly where I'm going to head when I have that opportunity. So just take that really serious. I think it's very important that you know what a massive responsibility it is to be a leader. And you can be a leader of 1, or you can be a leader of 135. It's a really big responsibility, and take it as such. And I take that very personal myself, and I know the rest of this panel does too. We take it very personal. The other thing I like to do is I like to be aware of my audience. Right now in this audience, there might be a hotel IT specialist. We have those now because AI and other things don't always give you all the answers. There might be a F&B director on a cruise ship. Yes, I'm looking right here in the first row. That's a dream right here. Or add another general manager. There's different positions there. So I think for me as a leader, it's important to know who am I speaking to, but do not define the person I'm speaking to in their role that they are. Let me give you an example. I had a very small Fairfield in Tennessee. I'm talking 25-year-old building, never renovated, okay? So that was an interesting one. In order to get to my GM office, I had to walk through the laundry room, which sometimes was piled up to the ceiling. So I had to first move the laundry to get through my door. And naturally, sometimes I helped in the laundry because I needed to get to my office. So there was a girl, she was 19, she was just filling in laundry, while she was going to school for something completely different. And so I helped her fold the laundry, and we started talking, and I realized she was a really smart cookie. And she's like, hotels are way cooler than I thought they were, and we're folding the washcloth, and we're folding the towels. So at the end of the story, I said, I'm looking for a part-time night auditor. And she's like, well, I've never done that before. I said, I know, but I really think you can do it. Next thing you know, she takes the position. I leave that hotel and actually moved to open the Spring Hill. And she texted me a year later and said, you know what? I'm a front desk supervisor now at this Holiday Inn Express down the road. So I think it's important that we know who our audience is, but don't define your audience for where they currently are. So you're currently sitting here in this classroom, but that you're not going to sit here forever, right? You have dreams and imaginations, and I should speak to you towards those dreams, not where you're currently resting. That leads me to our next point. It's important to know where we are, where we've been, and where we're going, right? Neither one of us here at this panel has been where we are today 20 years ago, right? We were maybe sitting in a chair like you are now, or we might have had our first little leadership position somewhere, but really identifying the journey, like we said earlier, I think is really crucial in order to be successful with the team. Then there's some meat and potato things, the whole stay humble, be transparent, be engaged and involved, be on the floors, don't lead behind that office chair. We got to go out and we got to see people, right? We got to go and walk those hallways and give a high five to our housekeepers and come in the morning and get your coffee from the coffee corner. You learn a lot when you're out there and being visible. My hotel is a St. Joe property. So in addition to all that, we also just recently opened a training center. Now I know that's kind of luxury. Not everybody gets to have that. So I feel very passionate about that. So St. Joe, we have a full-size training center, seats 65 people. And we have several different programs that we teach there. Some of them I also led together with FSU. Some of them are internal. And just really basing all of this on some knowledge and additional education, I think, is crucial.
Great, excellent. So this question is going to be rapid fire kind of thing for all of our panelists. You guys ready? All right. In one sentence, what is the most important leadership habit that you practice consistently, whether it is a soft skill like time management, or maybe it's a specific action built into your weekly routine, but what is the most important leadership habit you practice consistently? Jason, I'll let you go ahead.
Great, thanks.
I know, you're closest to me. I also know you, so I can torture you a little
Okay,
bit.
so one sentence, I would probably say I make sure I go around to the hotels and properties every day and listen to each staff that are there. Find out what's making them tick. Are they doing okay? Do they need, what do they need? Go to the hotels and talk to all the employees, whether it's housekeeper, linen runner, grounds, food and beverage, auditor, front desk, maintenance guys. Everybody needs to be heard.
Excellent.
Is that one quick sentence? Is that?
That was
Yeah, that was a
multiple
long
sentences.
run-on sentence. but yes.
Okay, sorry.
Glenn?
Yeah, I think know yourself and your schedule. Probably my biggest key is I get here very early in the morning and no one is in the building but me. And that gives me 30 minutes to think long-term because as soon as everybody shows up, I turn from a leader to a manager. And that it doesn't matter what time of day you do it, but you need a time where you're peaceful, you're by yourself to think long-term.
Great. Melinda?
Listen first, empathize, then respond. It's that simple, really. You really need that. It's in every industry, it's outside of the industry, but hospitality especially. Every single person there is a human being. We all deserve to be treated like human beings. So we're gonna listen, and then we're gonna realize that's a human being across from me that's having regular struggles that I have too, before we respond.
Excellent. Katja?
I have something similar. Treat everybody equal. We're all valued the same. We just have different jobs to do at the hotel. Nobody is better than another person. We're all equal. And keep your commitment. If you give your word, it's your word. And you can trust in me as a leader that when I give you my word, that's the way it's going to be.
Great. Bill?
Well, since we're supposed to answer this in one sentence,
Jason has given up on
all
that,
of
so
my thoughts-
you don't have to.
all my thoughts will have semicolons after them. Now, I think as a leader, and particularly as the CEO of a company or an owner of a company, you have to be continuously learning and keeping up with what's going on, not just in your own industry, but in the world at large, in the financial world at large. So you can plan ahead for the investments and the strategic thinking that you have to do to be successful.
Excellent. Yeah, that's way shorter than Jason's. Good job. Mike, how about you?
In one sentence, I would say I make time to listen before I decide.
Excellent. Alan?
Yeah, I think what you're hearing across the board is actually what I like to call a pattern of success. You hear that from successful people. You hear treat everyone the same, show up early, find a moment to cool yourself down, to let go of the things that you're bringing to work before you come to work. Those are all patterns of success. And the characteristics of great leaders are usually high levels of empathy. You know, how do you have hospitality without empathy? You know, great communications about empathy of your customers, your employees. If you can't communicate with your employees, you don't have much going on. So empathy and understanding people. But I agree with everyone down across the table. All good.
Great. So our next question, Bill, feel free to, you don't have to just answer this in one sentence. For new leaders, it can be challenging to know how to make a meaningful impact. What actions or ideas or strategies would you recommend so that they can effectively invest in their team, their company, and their community?
Well, I'm going to talk about my experience. And I think it can be extrapolated for just about any person that wants to be a leader. But I think to start with, to be a leader, you have to be successful. And to be successful, you have to be fully committed to what you're doing. I learned as a freshman at the University of North Carolina, and I see somebody in a UNC shirt right there. So stand up and be recognized. Now, I looked around and realized that most students had a lackadaisical attitude towards academia. And I figured out that I could succeed simply by outworking them. My philosophy became put yourself in a position where you have the most options. My undergraduate degree is in mathematics. I loved it, and I actually wanted to go on and teach. But I worked hard in all my subjects and got grades that opened the door to go on to Harvard Law School. I went there not because I stopped loving mathematics, but because I knew that degree would give me the maximum number of options for my future. That's the first strategy that I'd offer to new leaders. Do the work that sets you apart. Successful people do the jobs that unsuccessful people don't want to do. So you have to do the work. You have to do your homework. And when you succeed, that buys you freedom of choice. Now, despite all those options that I had, I chose to go in the car business. And my late father-in-law, Tommy Thomas, was the dealer at the time, and he asked me to join him in the business to keep it in the family. And he said, you know, you're coming in, I know you got a law degree, you got a degree from UNC, but you're not going to be a vice president coming to work for me. You're going to work in the service department. And I thought, okay. But it was one of the best things that ever happened to me because I spent 18 months working side by side with all the employees, the technicians, the service manager, the service advisors, the parts people, all the rest of it. I learned the business on the front lines. And at the time, I was the only Harvard graduate writing repair orders. But I did work there for 18 months. And from there, I moved through every single department in the dealership. I was a salesman. I was a finance manager. I worked in the business office, sales management, general manager, then ultimately dealer and owner. And that experience taught me that you gain respect by showing that you understand what your employees' work is. You have firsthand knowledge. And employees knew that I understood their job because they'd seen me do it. I didn't fix cars, couldn't do that, but I could write tickets. Credibility, I think that kind of credibility is the single best investment a new leader can make. It also taught me the value of collaboration. I may now have the final say, but I always want my manager's buy-in. And to do that, it can't just be my idea. It's got to be our idea. At the end of the day, I may not like the ideas that everybody came up with, and I'll make my decision. But I want everybody to know that they had a say in the ultimate decision that was made. Once I had that foundation and was able to get out of the service department and actually have an opportunity to participate in the community, Tommy had a phrase that he used that was a guiding principle for me, which is called civic rent. And what that means is that if you derive a living from your community, you have an obligation to pay back by making it a better place. It isn't charity, it's the rent you pay for the privilege of being in your community. Now, a major part of paying that rent for me has been serving on the College District Board of Trustees, starting in 1987, and the College Foundation in the same year. I think Benjamin Franklin said it best, that an investment in knowledge always pays the best interest. As a businessman, I know that's true, but as a trustee and foundation board member, I see that interest paid out in a different way. When we provide a scholarship, it doesn't just change one student's ability to make a living today. It ripples down through the generations. And if you can give someone an opportunity for an education, you can look back and say that you've made a difference and that your own life has been well spent. And I'll close with one story. My youngest son and his wife, they have 3 children, but they never wanted to find out what the sex was until the baby was born, which drove us crazy. Because you don't know what they get, blue, pink, you don't know. So what we do is we sit out in the waiting room and wait to hear that the baby's about ready to be born. You go run and put your ear on the door and figure out, is it a boy or a girl? So I was running by the nursing station, and one of the nurses said, Mr. Kramer, can I speak to you a minute? And I said, normally I'd love to have any kind of conversation you want, but not right now. We're having a baby. I got to get over there and find out what's happening. She said, no, I just want you to know that I would not be a nurse today if it hadn't been for the scholarship that you gave me in 1991. Now, my grandson was born in 2015, so that's a long time. But that's the beauty of supporting education.
Well said.
That's great.
Good job.
So this next question is for Glenn. Sometimes a short-term decision that's right for the company in the long term, or for the majority of the staff, may disappoint some people. How do you approach making these tough decisions while ensuring that your actions align with the organization's mission and values?
Yeah, I think that all of your decisions should align with your organization's missions and values. And the way that you would make that is you would talk to everyone up and down the organization, because I think that everyone's lives are different, everyone's job's different, and it doesn't matter what decision you make, it's going to affect people in different ways. So my advice would be to talk to as many people as you can, gather all the data, but don't wait. And then when you do make a decision, you own it. You always do what you say you're going to do. You go to places when you say you're going to be there. And when you tell somebody you're going to show up, you show up. And I think that the other important part about leadership is not all of your decisions are going to be popular. Somebody is going to dislike or criticize every decision you make, and you have to be comfortable with that. You might not like it. You're never going to like it. Nobody ever likes it. But when it's in the best interest of the organization and you and your team believe that it is, you do it, you own it, and you do it as quickly as you can, because no decision ever gets easier or better with time.
Great. All right. So the next question is going to be for Alan and Katja, and this is about adaptability. So adaptability is one of the most important skills that a leader can have, especially when it's facing the unknown or uncertainty. Young leaders often struggle to make quick decisions in these moments. Can you share why adaptability is so important, and maybe give an example of a time that you had to adapt when things didn't really go as you had hoped or as planned?
Okay, thank you. So first of all, hospitality is probably the area that most unexpected things happen, and that's because if you work in a hotel, it never closes. So there's 24 hours a day, each day of the year that something could happen. I think the most important thing is the first step is do not take it personal. When something happens and the guest is upset, remember there's a reason behind that why they're upset. So the first lesson that I would like to share is just never take it personal. The next thing is, that popular question, how do you eat an elephant? We all know the answer to that. One bite at a time, exactly. And that's exactly how it's going to go. When you have a massive issue at the property or whichever business you're leading or at the car dealership, you will not solve this humongous issue all at once. You have to take it down into small slices. I rather think of eating pizza versus an elephant, so I usually say, let's do it into pizza slices and attack each thing separately. The good thing is, if you are a leader and you have a group of leaders with you, now everybody can take on a slice of that pizza, and we can all work on this together. The other thing is stay calm and positive. Remember, you are reflected as like a mirror. Your team will look at you, and when you become nervous or you get in a bad mood, whatever you do, the team will reflect that reaction. So if they see that you're losing your calm, everything's over. So you gotta always be aware. That's what I meant with that massive responsibility. You are that role model. People will look at you. I've had some very unpleasant events in my hotel career. For example, I had some guests that passed away, and everybody looks at you. And I was a young GM. I was 34 years old. I didn't have any experience with death, but the entire hotel, including the business partners of that gentleman that were probably twice my age, looked at me for a solution. So you have to stay calm, and you're gonna have to take it one step at a time and be in charge. The comparison that I use at the hotel is, I call it, we have to be on a surfboard. Any surfers in the room? Anybody go surfing, paddleboarding, right? You can't just stay on one side and then watch the wave come, right? You always stand on both legs, and you're gonna even that out. So just remember, don't take it personal, do it as a team, and ride the surfboard.
Take life one pizza slice at a time.
That's right.
Alan?
That was a great answer, and I do love pizza as well.
Better than elephants, right?
Yes, way better, because nobody wants to actually eat an elephant. It's gross. Elephants, I bet an elephant's very chewy. Have you ever thought about eating an elephant? So the question was adaptability, young decision-making, and uncertainty of decisions. And so one of my favorite sayings is by an economist named Thomas Sowell, and he says, there's no perfect solution, there's only trade-offs. And so I think when you're early into decision-making, you're looking for that perfect decision. Glenn even touched on it. Glenn said, when you make decisions, I'm paraphrasing, making decisions, someone's gonna be upset anytime you make a decision. Especially in government. No matter what I do, someone's gonna be mad as hell at me. And that's okay. I've made a lot of decisions. And there's a sort of a framework that I really like that I would suggest people Googling. It's called Lean Startups. And Lean Startups is this really interesting methodology that transfers into other things. It's meant for software companies. It's really about the process of shrinking an idea down. I make so many mistakes. By 9:15, I've made 30 mistakes. But I make very small mistakes. I want to make mistakes that I can survive. And so I try to shrink ideas down. And so one thing that new decision makers are not used to is facing the heat of making a decision or knowing that they're going to upset somebody and not being able to shrink an idea down. I actually get exhausted when someone brings me an idea and it's some big, huge idea. I'm like, that's never going to get done. There are lots of sayings, I don't know if it's Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali, everyone has a plan until they're punched in the face. And that's any idea is you start out with a plan and then you get punched in the face, theoretically, not actually punched in the face. Don't work in a place where they punch you in the face, rule number one. And elephants, don't eat elephants. And so, young decision makers have not become comfortable being uncomfortable, right? So leadership's about managing friction. And for me, it's about shrinking the idea and having momentum of an idea. And as you just get older, you start seeing the forest through the trees. You can start seeing the unknowns. Gosh, what is is it Rumsfeld quote? There's like, there are things we don't know. There are things we know that we don't know, or something like there's a great quote. I can never remember it.
No.
There's things that we know that we don't know. There's things that we don't know that we don't know. And that's all part of decision making is kind of learning to see the forest through the trees. That's actually just called wisdom. And the more decisions that you make, the better you get at that. And the faster you learn how to test an idea and pull back from it before it ruins your business or upsets a lot of people. Like, all right, we're going to do in government, they call them pilot programs. We're going to do a pilot program as just a test and to see how it works out. And so shrinking an idea and just being comfortable you don't want to upset everybody, but sometimes people need to be pushed, and some people are not very adaptable. You'll be leading people who love change. You'll be leading people who hate change. And you'll just kind of learn how to navigate those personalities through empathy, learning how to get them on the same page. You'll learn about fear setting. What fear setting is this practice of if you're implementing an idea and everyone's like, oh, you say, what's the worst that could happen? Like, what is the worst? And they usually come up with an idea and they're like, that's not that bad. See, we can test it. And so fear setting is a lot of that, but it's all communication and just being comfortable, being uncomfortable.
There's a saying that goes, the only truth is knowing that you know nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And there's no one that's more confident than someone who hasn't done anything yet.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
Those people are full
Those
of
who say it
confidence.
can't be done are usually interrupted by those doing it.
Yeah. Well, but in all fairness, you can't disrupt a system unless you're a little bit foolish or an egomaniac, one of the two.
Yes.
So being a little foolish sometimes is what breeds innovation. You don't know of the unknowns, and you kind of foolishly go into something. You can change things that way. So being foolhardy is not always bad either. So it's balance.
Well said, yes. One of my favorite phrases, those who say it can't be done are usually interrupted by those doing it, was a phrase that was written on the board in our journalism room here at Gulf Coast State College when I was a student here. And so it's a phrase that has always stuck with me because there's always so many naysayers and so many people who say, oh, that can't be done because it's never been done. And that's why I love that we can challenge the status quo for it. Mike, let's go ahead and continue on with that, but can you share a leadership moment that maybe didn't go as you had hoped and as you had planned, and what lesson maybe you took from that experience and how that's helped shape you as a leader?
Sure. So earlier in my career, and I've been in the hospital business for a long, long time, I actually thought moving fast and having the right answers was the same as being effective, which is a lot of people tend to do that. And I got the results when I did that. There was nothing wrong with that. But what I found out that by doing that, I was really not getting the whole pictures, by not getting involved the right people into making that decision. I got very effective results. As a matter of fact, I can speak about the situation quickly. That was the time when, because I'm in the hospitality business, and we found out that, when the guests come to check in, they check in all at one time at 4 o'clock. And we found out that, that they're all staying in the same, they're all coming at the same time. So we wanted to speed up that process. And all the rooms have to be inspected. So usually there's an inspector that does that. So I kind of changed the process, and then I made it from the supervisory level and made the team who actually clean the rooms do the inspection faster. And I only gave to the people who really I trusted the most, that they can really rely on getting the rooms clean. And they did. They did get the job done, and everything was fine. Guests were checking in on time. But the morale was completely different. All of a sudden, I found out the leadership for the supervisors and the housekeeping, they were not part of the decision making. I made that decision. So what I found out is you've got to have any processes, you might get it done for the short term, but you gotta get them in the leadership so they can own it. Because if they respect you, they will do it. But if they own it, they will do it on their own. That's how it is. So it's a definitely clear leadership.
Excellent. Yes, absolutely. Jason, you ready?
Sure.
This is for Jason and Bill as well. Over time, we've been able to study what makes great leadership. In your experience, how has staying true to your values and leading with integrity shaped the leader that you have become?
If you're speaking me
Either
first,
one.
okay.
I'm good.
I'll say, when you say about leading with integrity, honesty. If you go and you tell the staff that you're going to do something and you end up not doing it, it's almost lying to them. So you're like what Mike was just talking about, the lack of respect. The employees are not going to work with you, because they don't respect you, they don't think if you say you're going to do something and you don't end up doing it, what's their drive to try and make the place better? What's their, I guess, goal? What makes them want to be happy to the guests? We have a thing to where if you walk in front of a guest within 10 feet, you make eye contact and you say hello and you smile and such. It's staying true, staying honest. I would say be very positive. I'm not a big negative person, and if people are always, if you're staying positive, if you're staying happy, if you're making it a nice place to come to work, and that's the thing. Do you guys really want to go to do? I wish I could ask you guys questions, but if where you work now, do you really want to go to work? Do you love going to work? Is it a happy place? Are your managers or the leaders cranky when they come to work? Are they unhappy? And that makes you not want to come to work, and that makes you not want to do things and work hard for your employer. And they always, when people come up to say, they're introducing me to someone, this is Jason, this is the president, he's the boss. I'm like, no, I work with you. I don't work above you. I work with you. So stay positive. Don't be negative. Don't bring drama. I hate drama. I don't know about you guys, but drama is the cancer of the workforce. Just leave it at home. Like Glenn was talking about, he clears everything out of his head 30 minutes before he comes in. Everybody else comes in. Stay positive. Don't bring negativity. There's no place for that in the workforce. I'm sure you have noticed in your experience, negativity just is bad. So.
Well said, yes. In fact, that actually also mirrors, Katya, what you had said, that, your team members are going to reflect you. So if you put out positivity, you'll gain positivity. What you put out into your team is what you receive. And so if you want to have the best team, you need to be the best leader. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Bill?
Well, that's a very profound question when you start talking about your values and leading with integrity. And that brought to mind a book that I read several years ago called The Dreams of Reason by a physicist named Heinz Pagel. Yeah, I read those kind of books. Math books too. But there was a phrase in his book that has stuck with me ever since. And it says that, I'm paraphrasing, but the price of adopting a way of life or a set of values is, was, and always will be your life. It isn't just a policy you follow, it's an exchange. You are literally exchanging your time and effort, your life, for the values you choose to uphold. So you don't want to do that and waste it. If you're paying that price, you need to make a difference. You need to change your life for the better and those around you as well. And part of that is consistency. It's easy to have values when things are going well, but when you're facing a crisis, a budget cut, a great recession, which in the automobile business was a great recession, when you have an existential threat to your business, that's when you have to rely on your values and the integrity that you have, because staring at the void may not have a business. My entire life, I had to go practice law, if the car dealership went under. But you have those values and the ability to stand with integrity and be steady in the storm is something that It's difficult to do, but it's absolutely necessary for business to survive. And for me, anchoring growth is about stability, that kind of stability. And an anchor isn't visible. It's deep underwater, but it holds a ship steady when the storm comes. And integrity and your values, they're that anchor that's going to be there, that nobody can actually touch or see, but it's keeping you grounded. And when your team knows that you're willing to pay the price to do the right thing, even if it costs you money or popularity or time, it creates a culture of safety. And it's not only that safe, stable environment, and it's only there that real growth can occur. So many values haven't just shaped me, they've brought me to the trust required to build something that's meaningful and that lasts.
Excellent. And just for clarification, in case I decide to make this a question on a quiz, integrity and values are the ship's anchor. I really
Yeah,
love that.
about a boat, what can I say?
Yes. Got it, just writing that down.
Could have been a transmission
Even better, let's do the transmission
or an engine, but
or engine. So the last question is for each of the panelists. This is that 1 to 2 sentence range.
Thank you for being flexible.
You're
Paul.
welcome. Yeah, I've dialed it back. Can you please share a piece of advice or a personal experience that you would like to give our students as they grow to become the future leaders of Bay County? Jason.
Yeah, next time I'm sitting down.
No, next time you'll be right there again.
A piece of advice, I would say, everybody will say, work hard, do your homework, make sure you graduate, do all of that. Yeah, you have to do that. You have to work, but stay positive. Do not bring negativity. You'll enjoy it so much more. I love coming to work, and I love working with people, especially at the hotels, because from what it seems to me, is they enjoy coming. Personal experience. Wait, I'm already at second sentence. So.
Oh, you're at 3 sentences already,
Sorry.
but you haven't used any punctuation, so you're still good.
Nope, I'm done. I'm just going to say stay positive.
Thank you. Glenn?
Yeah, my piece of advice is friends. If you have high achieving, highly driven, highly successful friends in college or at work, you're going to be highly driven because you want to stay part of your friendship group and they're going to give you. My other one about friends is have something in your workspace, somebody in your workspace that will always tell you the truth, that feels comfortable asking any question or challenging you in any way, and that you do not treat them poorly enough where they will never ask you that question, that you treat them as a friend. And that's very, very important. Start your friends early because you will become who your friends are, good or bad.
Excellent. Melinda?
So kind of on a similar note there, all the people around you are humans just like you are. You are going to encounter them all again. Even if they are not your team member anymore, or, you didn't buy a car at that place the last time, you're going to be on a panel with those people.
They are no longer your friends.
No, but really, for real, the people that are in your employment, they are going to be something, somewhere, someday in your path. They're going to be your vendor. You need to keep a good relationship with those people. Do not write them off because they couldn't do whatever job they were doing right then and they had to separate, or whatever the situation may be. All of those people are going to be in your path again, or at least you should be thinking they probably will. You will have a different perspective on your engagements with the rest of the humans around you every single day if you think, I might encounter that person again in a different capacity. So just keep it in mind.
Excellent. Katja?
Mine is show up. When there's an opportunity for something, and it might be after your regular class schedule, after work, we need a volunteer, we need something, show up. The relationships and friendships that I built by just showing up in areas where somebody said, I just need a hand. Okay, I'm there. Don't always ask the question, what's in it for me, right? Some famous president said that once upon a time, but I take that serious. Show up. Say, yes, I can do this. I remember first front office supervisor, I was still living in Germany at the time, and the front office manager, at the time, you had to submit these airline miles by hand, and she let me do it. To me, this was like, oh my gosh, she's letting me do that. That was my reaction. It was like, well, you're going to have to pay me 50 cents more if you want me to do that. So show up, take all the opportunities, everything that comes your way, just do it. Even if, you end up in a different career path than what you went to school for, just do it. Show up and do it. Show up.
Great.
Excellent.
Bill?
Well, we have a saying in the automobile business, which is early to bed, early to rise, work like heck, and advertise. That's not exactly how it goes, but pretty close. But it does get back to the theory of you got to work hard. You have to do your homework. You have to prepare. You say, show up. You can't just show up. You got to show up ready.
That's true.
You got to show up ready to do what your job is and do it well.
Great. Mike?
Well, I want to say, this is really important for you to know. It's a sums up in a couple of words, really. People do business with people they trust. You've got to be able to start thinking that way. Leadership is not like a title. What it is, you've got to be able to somehow learn how to serve other people. Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter what business you're in. Learn how to serve other people. And do it in a strategic way, because every role that you do is preparing you for the future, preparing you to be somebody, every single place that you go to. Now, I'm looking here at you are the future leaders. Bay County, they need a lot of leaders like you. You don't have to be the same. Everyone has its own way of strength. We all have strength, we all have weaknesses, we have opportunities, that's what we do. But I'm telling you right now, if you just think that whatever I do, I'm going to do it honestly so people can trust what I'm doing. And sometimes it's just being yourself. It's a big deal. And the moment people start trusting you, they'll do business with you.
Alan?
I don't want to start my answer by accusing a president of a college for stealing my answer, but Glenn stole my answer. Glenn, I'm going to expound on it a little bit, though. So Glenn
At least that's the only thing I stole.
I was going to say friends, and Glenn brought up friends. Who has heard this saying, you are the average of your 5 closest friends? So, we become who we associate ourselves with. It's kind of like osmosis. We're pack animals. We mimic each other, we copy each other, we try to fit in. And if you surround yourself with certain kinds of people, you'll find yourself, if you want to run fast, run with people who are really fast. And you want to be in shape, hang out with people who are in shape. Not with me. And so, but I want to add to that you have an opportunity, and what I've done and what I think most people do is I like to collect my favorite things about people. And I'll give you a few examples. Civic rent. Mr. Kramer talks about civic rent. I heard the term civic rent from his son, Chris, probably about 10 years ago. And that's a saying that I use now because I love it so much. Jason Hedden does this thing that I borrowed. When he meets you, he does a thing that he brightens himself up. Like he's so excited to see you. Like when you see Jason, you're like, he is so excited to see me. And whether he's pretending or not, I love that. It makes you feel good, right? And so you can, from top to bottom, how people talk to others, how they dress, how they run their business, you can just collect the favorite parts of people and become that person. We are a collection of little things that we've seen from others and heard from others. People collect quotes. I love a good quote. I love a good story. And you can transform yourself, and not a fake person, but become a better person. We're all striving to be better people. So it's important that you surround yourself with great people, and then find the favorite things of people that you admire and just make that a part of you. And I mean that sincerely, is find people that you gravitate towards and ask yourself, why do I gravitate towards that person? How does that person make decisions? How do they communicate with others? And just be that way.
Jason, are you always happy to see Alan?
Never. Usually I owe him money, so usually, no, I'm just kidding. I'm usually here to collect a bill. It's like, I'm here to break your legs. I'm like, here's your $20, Jason.
Excellent. So thank you for all these questions. Thank you for answering them, so eloquently. I'd like to open up the floor to our students so they can ask some questions. And my colleague Kara will walk around.
All right. Oh, first hand right here. Okay.
Hi, I'm Dana, and I'm slightly older than the average college student. I'm on my second life. I was a pre-K teacher for 24 years, and now I am data management at a local high school with the hopes of moving to leadership before I go home. And when I was in education, I had a mentor, and she lit the fire in me, and I could always go to her when I needed help, like instead of, we couldn't come here every day and ask you guys, like, tell me what. So how do I now find a mentor in leadership when I've never been part of that world?
Awesome question. Does anyone want to?
I'll do that one. Oh, I love asking questions. I have made a living just asking strangers that I find on the internet how they do things. It was really weird in 2001 when I was in college. People would be like, who are you and why are you emailing me? How'd you get my email address? Even in college, I was going to school in Gainesville, and my wife was in Birmingham, and I would use the yellow pages, and I would call design firms in Birmingham, and I would say, because I was a graphic designer, and I say, well, how do you hire somebody? What do you look for? And they were like, who is this? I'm like, I'm not looking for a job yet. And I would just call everyone in the yellow pages that was doing design stuff. When we opened our first brewery, I had a virtual assistant make me a spreadsheet of every brewery in the Southeast, and I emailed and called every one of them and tried to talk to the owner. And then I traveled around because they were like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm opening a brewery. I've bought property. I have no idea what I'm doing, and you can save me. And they were like, oh gosh, because most people want to be helpful. Most people who have succeeded in something have struggled, and they don't want to see you make the same mistakes they did. Now, there is a type of person who will ask for 20 hours a week, and most people don't have that, but a conversation is usually pretty easy, or an email, especially if it comes from a place of being humble and asking a question. So, your mentor doesn't have to be your sponsor or your best friend forever. It could be someone who just, hey, I'm looking at doing this. What do you think? I know you're a few steps ahead of me in this thing. What would you do? What would you do differently? Most people just really want to be helpful. I have mayor mentors. They even donated to my campaign. There was like, I was reaching out to the mayor of Greenville, South Carolina, and I visited other cities. And so I collect smart people is what I do. Interesting people, I collect them. And so, yeah, it's really easy. Just send them emails. Yeah.
Great.
But if you're a student here, you say you're a student?
Oh, yes, sir, for a second time. I've already received one.
Okay, so you're going to get the second degree. Good. I would say look to some of your instructors. And that's what they're here for. Right, Glenn?
Yes, sir.
Well said, Glenn.
No, seriously. That's one thing about Gulf Coast that I love so much is that the teachers, the faculty, they care. They care about their students. They want to see them succeed. And you don't see that sometimes in larger organizations. If you go to, I'm just picking it out. If you go to Florida, University of Florida, you're going to be 1 in 500 in a class. And you may have some, relationship with a teacher's assistant or something like that. But one of the great benefits of Gulf Coast is that you can have those personal relationships with your faculty and the staff.
I would say that there are really many resources for you to have a mentor. It's funny that we always think that, I'm not going to ask that person, what you're talking about. People in general love to help. They really do. They think it's a pride, but at the same time, to help somebody, gives them satisfaction. But think about every county in the area, whether it's Walton County, Okaloosa, Bay County, they all have mentorship program. And I'm familiar with them too as well. if you just go and approach them, they'll connect you with a mentor person. That might not be exactly the person that you're looking for, but at least they will connect you with. Believe me, it's in there. I had a mentor for 17 years myself that showed me the directions, and I learned so much from that person. Now I have, I definitely mentor other people, and I do it with pleasure because I had a mentor. So ask, you'll get it. That's how it is.
All right, I've been flagged down over here, guys. Sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Kayanne. I am a Gulf Coast student in hospitality tourism management, and I work at Ford's Garage as a server, and I am now promoted as a shift supervisor. How do you navigate going from your peers to now a new position? And I still do serve. So some days I'm a server, and some days I'm their supervisor. How do you navigate that line? It's like
That's a lot of pressure.
Yes, it is.
And it's hard. Yeah. I mean, and it's not easy for anybody. The transitioning of roles is extremely hard.
You're going to have to lead by example every single day, every single shift, until the team understands why you're qualified to be their supervisor.
I think transparency is the answer here, that you let them know, right now I'm in this dual role, and I want to be the best leader that I can be because I am also still a server. So help me be successful. Help me maybe push something through that you as a server always felt like, oh, we should do this different. So take me as your tool now that I get to be a supervisor twice a week, and I can make this happen for us. So kind of set it aside and be very transparent. I think transparency is really important.
If you do right by that team, they will make you successful through very little of your own effort.
And I think that it's going to be a situation that will always be in your life too as you move up, right? I mean, grow from within, and you're always kind of facing that situation. All right, yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Jaden Farrell. I'm currently working on my bachelor's at Florida State University across the street. But I have been working in a restaurant, the same restaurant, for 5 years. I was promoted to a manager 3 years ago. And I've learned so much from my owners in the past. But I was just wondering, how do you come to an agreement with your other leaders whose thoughts may not align with yours?
Sometimes it's not about coming to an agreement. Sometimes it's about coming to a resolution. We don't always agree with everything that goes on. We've highlighted that in a couple of different questions here. But with everybody understanding this is the resolution, this is the path, and we're all going to go in the same direction regardless of where we started, it is an easier way for everyone to travel in that same direction.
I would also say humble. I'm always very humble in my approach to things. It doesn't have to be my way or the highway. It's not my personal leadership style, and I think that's really important when we bring these ideas together, because sometimes we spend a lot of time on an idea and we bring it to the table, like, I worked on this for weeks, so clearly this is going to be the solution we're going with. And someone's like, well, no. Why would we do it this way? That doesn't make any sense. So try to be humble on the approach and stay open to the other ideas that are coming to the table. And like Melinda said, and then you can take different highways and still get there together.
Are these other managers or leaders, are they in the same group that you are? Yes, same task? Yes, mm-hmm.
It's definitely different.
Yeah, so I have a different piece of advice. One of my big advantages in the past is having a competitor that worked with me, where we were always trying to outperform them in metrics or culture or how the employees felt about the shifts. And you don't have to be mean to your competitor. You can be really, my best friend was my best competitor. And we were always working out doing typically what Mr. Kramer said, if you work harder than everybody else, your resolutions are typically going to win.
I just want to say that, diversity is a key factor of any success. And I'm a 100% believer. Quick story, back in the 80s, the Marriott hotels, by a big company, and they decided to check a prototype. They built a small hotel in Arizona, and they brought their best general manager, their best housekeeper, their best front office manager, their best controller. They put them all in one place. And it was a brand-new hotel, and it was a 150-room hotel. It didn't last for 1 month. It collapsed. Basically, they could not function because they all have the same kind of, like everything standard. Diversity is the key. When you're sitting there with the 4 other people, all 4 of you, 3 other people, make sure you put the goal, what you're trying to accomplish, and work toward that. Because you don't have to be like them. They don't have to be like you. The respect has to be there, but always aim toward what you're trying to accomplish. Because again, you're trying to graduate, but you're doing a job to get some income. So let's do whatever we're trying to do for the income, which is the goal for making that restaurant succeed, and I'm sure they have the same thing, while you're trying to focus on your education as well. So you don't have to be like them, they don't have to be like you.
All right, I'm going over here. Also, where are my Lean Six Sigma students? Did you hear that? Diversity amongst different job roles. We talk about that.
Good evening. My name is James Fuentes. I am also a student, one of the youngest here. And I work at the Gulf Coast Hospital in the OR, and I'm in the culinary program and taking some business programs on the side. My question is to each and every one of you is, where you're at now, what book or books have you read that actually has spoken to you that that you would recommend, and also what was it about that book that you got out of that really spoke to you?
Should we give Jason a break and start with Alan?
That's great.
So I'll go with a book. So Stephen Pressfield has a book called not the Art of War, but the War of Art. And it really is about procrastination, and especially when you're doing a side project, like if you're writing a book on your spare time, and how you procrastinate because you're scared of failure. And we often gravitate towards doing the simple remedial tasks that are hard to fail at, because the big, complicated, creative tasks you could fail at and get judged. And that book is a really great read. It talks about your lizard brain. Your lizard brain's from just trying to survive as a caveman. My favorite thing to read is Seth Godin, Godin. If you just Google Seth and blog, it's the number. He's a 5-time best-selling author. His blog posts are, and I know that's old school blog posts. He doesn't have a TikTok account, but his blog posts are like 3 or 4 sentences up to like a paragraph. They're like a minute read, and there's no formula of what he posts. A lot of it's just how to think about things and look at things, being a contrarian, how to look at the problem from a different angle. I love his blog. At least once a week, I'm like, is he reading my inbox to know what I'm working on? Because it's usually poignant to what I'm working on. So Seth Godin is my favorite thing to read every day.
I would say, I don't know the author now, but for some reason, but there's a book called Good to Great. It is a fantastic book. It really tells you what everybody should read. Like when you are in, let's say if you're in college, you're graduating right now, you leave college, you need to make sure that college gets better when you were in it. Support the college, come back to them, and then be part of them somehow by assisting. Same thing if you leave a job. If you are an employee of one company and then you leave, you don't want to wish the worst for that company. You want to wish the best because you're part of it. So you were good, but make it great in there. It's a wonderful, wonderful story to read. It really benefits everybody. Yeah.
I already mentioned one book that I read. I'm going to answer this in a little bit unconventional way. I would take a look at AI, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini. There's a wide variety, and they're all fighting with each other to outdo one another. And it's going to be very interesting to see who wins and who loses. But you can actually have a conversation. I love reading, but if you can actually have a conversation. Form a question, something you want to know about, leadership or whatever it might be, and it'll go out and it's got all the world's literature at its fingertips, but theoretically, and you can actually not only get a summary and learn about it. It's a two-way street. You can talk with it.
Mine is Leaders Eat Last. It goes with my humble approach in leadership. Don't know the author, but obviously, really the title just tells it all, right? If there's 5 sandwiches and there's 6 people, me as a leader, I will not have a sandwich. That's just the way the cookie crumbles to me. Also, when I was with Marriott for a little while, they had a training that was based on the North Pole expedition, and it was a sales training, and I forgot the book, but maybe ChatGPT can help us with that. And it was really interesting because, at the end of the day, after they got lost in our Arctic and so forth, they came back 2.5 years later than they were supposed to, and the entire crew was intact.
Shackleton.
They lost their ship. It got stuck in the ice. They had to get off the ship, and he managed to bring this entire team home alive. And that's what that leadership training was based on. Now, that's leadership. He made them mop the deck and do everything like as if the ship was functional, just to continue to have strategy and every day the same thing and consistency. And that's what kept them alive. It's just a fantastic book. I don't know what it's called, but that really fascinated me. And then Leaders Eat Last.
I've got a couple of books too, but they kind of go hand in hand. The Yes is the Answer. What was the question? And Yes is the Answer also is a book by Christine Trippi, who has
my good
taken this
friend
away.
too.
Yeah, so in hospitality, that's one of the biggest things. But if you're not saying yes to absolutely every single request and you're not planning on going into hospitality, it still could be a good read for you to learn how to creatively overcome objectives. We all have them. You're going to have them wherever you go. I would still recommend either of those books or both.
I agree with Mike. Good to Great is the best book that you can read to motivate you to go to the next level. And the biggest thing that it tells you is never be satisfied with where you're at. As soon as you get satisfied with where you're at as an organization, you're falling behind. And after you read that book, it's pretty short. You'll for the next 3 weeks, there's just nothing you feel like you won't do in any role. It's very, very motivating.
Definitely. Good to great.
You want to say ditto?
I mean, I have another great book. It's one of Mike knows, Jimmy Buffett, and it's Pirate Looks at 40, and he's taught when he goes in. So I'm a pilot, and I've had to get into some pretty rough experiences, and it talks about analyzing each of the next step, writing it down, figuring out what's your next step. And there's a portion in the book where Jimmy Buffett, we don't say crash in aviation, we say we had an incident. So he had an incident where he landed in the water unexpectedly and had to get out. And what did he do? He had the steps in his mind, and he followed the bubbles. It's called Bubbles Up. There's a song after it as well.
Called song for every single thing in his. He has a song. Every single word in his songs now it's a hotel or a restaurant.
So you love all of those songs, I'm sure. Yeah. But Good to Great is the excellent one. But if you want some interesting step by step of analyzing, actually, surprisingly enough, Jimmy Buffett in aviation. Yeah.
So I think we have time for one last question.
Yes, so we're going to do one more. I'm going to go on this side because I haven't. And the Bachelor students have to read Good to Great to graduate, and we do a full-on discussion all semester. So I did not pay any of them to say that.
Hi, y'all. I'm Lisa C. So my question is, as y'all were beginning your career and moving through it, do you only apply or pursue a position that you feel fully competent in to apply for, or do you swing for the fences and go for something, yeah, I got some things to learn, but I'm willing to get in there and learn it just to help those steps to pursue your career?
Let me say something about this. in the hospitality business, 80% of us really came up from another field. You have to trust where you're going. And then I graduated as an architect and civil engineer in Ohio. And then I was a busboy after that, after I graduated. Why? Because somehow God directed me to that field, and I loved it. I loved it. Yet I was already working as an architect in daytime, a busboy in the nighttime, quit completely engineering, end up in the hotel business. Trust what you're doing. Your feeling, your gut feeling is telling you something. Go for it. Yeah.
I would agree with that, but I would also say, what are your competencies? What are you going to bring to that interview? And you can be aspirational, but you also have to be realistic about what you can offer. So you can shoot for the stars. If you don't get there, you're still gone pretty way high there, But play your strengths.
I will say something. What happens to me at times is that somebody applies for a leadership position, says, well, I don't exactly know what I'm doing. I haven't done it before, but you can teach me, right? Yeah, no, that's not the way to approach that matter. We are never 100%. Remember, it's always learning. We're still advancing. I made notes tonight. What everybody else said. We're always getting better in what we do, but we're never 100% and then apply. So there could be a little bit of a gap, and then work hard but know what we are good at. But do not apply for a position in a leadership role and then expect that job to teach you. Come in and say, I've done my homework, I worked hard, I read up on this, I know what the expectations are, I can do this.
I would say something interesting that we've noticed. A lot of times we'll have an employee that works in a particular role. And I'm sure you guys have had this, where that person doesn't exactly do well in that particular role. But oh my gosh, you move them or say, hey, would you be interested in this? And they blossom, and they've been the best employee. It's not, don't be narrow-minded. Just, if you get into the role, be open, just work your butt off. Just prove that you're going to be there before everybody else. You'll stay. You'll work with the other 4 managers. You'll stay positive. No negativity, no drama. And then I think you'll prove to the others that, that you can do it, and you'll get your chance.
I think also swing for the fences, and if they say, hey, you're not experienced, but we have this position that's a pathway for you, it's a way for you to stay transparent and let it be known what your goals are.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much for being here. So I'd like to give a couple shout outs as well. But first, I'd like to thank you guys all for being here. And we have a special parting gift for each of you as a special thank you for taking the time.
The car.
Just what you wanted, Glenn. More golf course.
He's like donating his bag.
The car.
Didn't they do an excellent job, guys?
Guys, yeah, let's give them a round of applause. I'd also like to thank SGA for providing excellent refreshments and Commodore Productions, so that they were gracious enough to record this so students can watch this if they weren't able to make it. If you have not signed in, please make sure you sign in so that we have record of you being here. So again, we're going to actually now have a little bit of a one-on-one marketing session, not marketing, networking.
Market yourself.
Market yourself, yes. Just remember, no drama, no negativity. No drama. But yes, thank you guys so much for coming, and we thank the panelists. So let's give them one more round of applause.